Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Derry are Ulster champions. They have beaten Armagh by a scoreline of 115 to 18 points, but they win on penalties, 3-1 on penalties. They said the provincial championships are dead. They said we should scrap the provincial championships. They said we need to change them. We need to get rid of them. And to be fair, I think we probably do. We probably need to change them ever so slightly. But one thing we cannot take away is the drama that some of them give us. And in particular, the Ulster Championship. It goes down to the war. It goes down to the last kick of a ball. Armagh looked like they were gone in normal time. It looked like Derry were too strong. Armagh pulled it back with 2 late points. They could have possibly went on to win the game in normal time with that late Rory Grugan chance from a mark. Then in extra time, it looked like Derry, it looked like the occasion maybe, or I don't know, they looked leggy, they looked tired. It looked like Armagh had the run on them then. And it looked like Armagh maybe just had a bit more confidence, appetite, and belief. And Armagh went 2 points up in the final 4 minutes of extra time. And you thought, the way this game has been, it's very hard for Derry to come back. And then all of a sudden, they hit 3 points on the bounce. They press up on kickouts. They turn over Armagh. Armagh lose their heads a little bit, and you're thinking, that's it. Derry have won it. But then Armagh go down the other end. Stephen Campbell gets fouled. You could argue a soft foul, maybe bought it ever so slightly, but I do think it was a free. There was a bit of a push on the back. And there was also slight sort of brush of the face as well from one of the other Derry players. But Rian O'Neill pops it over. Man for the big occasion, man for the big moment. But he did miss the penalty. He misses the opening penalty, which was a surprise. You know, you think Rian O'Neill is the banker. You know, this is the one that doesn't fail. This is the one that can fail. It's a banker, you know, as Gary Neville always says. But he did. He missed it. You know, it was a poor enough penalty. In fairness, it was, you know, low. Wasn't much power. And yeah, you know, Derry, they, you know, and obviously in penalties, Armagh missed 3 of their 4 penalties. To be fair, 2 of them, excellent saves from Oran Lynch. And I don't think it was that and got to do with poor penalties from an Armagh perspective. But wow, what a game, what an occasion. Was it the best spectacle in terms of the most entertaining game, you know, back and forth? Probably not. You know, probably wasn't the greatest game of football we've ever seen, probably because of how both sides were set up. You know, Derry were set up defensively. Armagh were set up to mirror them and counteract that. It was a game of cat and mouse. It was a game of chess. You know, who was going to blink first? The lead never got bigger than 2 or 3 points. You know, this game was tighter than a duck's backside, and you couldn't split these with a knife. I mean, it was so close. It was so close. I've stole John McMahon's reference there from our group chat, so I don't plagiarize. There we go. You'll get me. But wow, what drama, you know, and that's what we love about Gaelic football. That's what we love about the Ulster Championship, is that it gives us drama. And the Ulster Championship this year has given us drama. Monaghan's late win over Tyrone, and now this. And, you know, the Monaghan Derry game was a bit flat at times, but it was still somewhat better than what we've seen in some other provinces. And wow, what an occasion. It's the first time that Derry have won back-to-back Ulster titles since 1976. You know, this is now a golden era for this Derry team, in my opinion. This is an era that will be looked back on in terms of huge memory, huge occasion. You know, and look, obviously everything that's gone on with their manager, I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. You know, obviously rightly so, not there in the sidelines, and you hope, you know, the justice system or whatever. I don't know the whole ins and outs, and, you know, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But for the Derry players and, you know, the other members of management, it would have been a massive disruption throughout the week, and it would have been very difficult for them to get their heads right for this game. You know, it would have been very difficult. Obviously, there's bigger things than football. We know that, and, you know, we know there's much bigger things at stake with what went on there. But obviously, in terms of, you know, I'm only here obviously to talk about what happens on the pitch and the team, and it would have been a massive disruption. But you didn't get the sense that it was, and you have to commend Derry for that. Like, this Derry team, you know, they have a lot of bottle. They have a lot of inner strength. They find ways to come through. You know, this is a big moment, in my opinion, for Derry. You know, this is a big moment because there was a moment there where I think Armagh had them. And I don't know if Derry come back in the same way that they would have done. You know, I don't know if Derry would have come back like last year if Donegal, you know, I know they did come back against Donegal at times, but that was a huge moment. And, you know, for Armagh, I think the pressure got to them ever so slightly in the penalties, especially with Rian O'Neill's kick. You know, I think obviously with the other penalties from the likes of Ethan Rafferty, I think they were good penalties, but it was just brilliant saves from Oran Lynch. But did the pressure get to Armagh in the big moments in extra time when they had a 2-point lead? It probably did. Ethan Rafferty was kicking too long when they needed to be more patient with kickouts. They needed to do a bit of dark arts. Waste a bit of time. Obviously we don't want to see that in Gaelic football, but that's what Derry did for large parts of that game. They would take their time with kickouts. They would take their time with everything. A man would go down. Armagh needed to do that when they had that 2-point lead, and Derry, got a point and brought it back to a 1-point game. Armagh needed to slow it down, and it's a tough one for Armagh. It's another big blow for Kieran McGeeney. And they've come so close, and obviously losing on penalties, there is an element of a lottery to it. And, winning the Ulster title is so tough. Will Armagh get a draw like that again next year where they have to play down in Cavan before a final? Probably not. Tyrone will come good, you'd imagine. Monaghan will still be there. Down are building. Donegal, we'll see what happens with them. Maybe with new management in place, they'll come back into the equation. But it's such a tough one. And I imagine if you're an Armagh supporter, like, you're heartbroken. And you probably don't want to, turn the TV off. You don't want to see anything of any remnants of any Gaelic football match for at least probably a few weeks. And it's tough. It's a second penalty shootout that they've lost. They lost to Galway, let's not forget, last year as well on penalties. And this is another one. That they've lost. Like, it's tough. It's very tough for Armagh, but fair play to Derry for keeping their cool, keeping their calm, and look, back-to-back provincial titles. Like, the question is now, can Derry go on and pop? They'll go into the group stages obviously as a number one seed. Can they now go on and challenge for an All-Ireland? There is a huge conception out there that Derry aren't suited to Croke Park, and we look at the 3 games they played in Croke Park in recent memory against big teams. Or sorry, 2 games against big teams. Obviously Clare, it's hard to kind of really judge that with all due respect. Against Galway and Dublin in the league final, it was a nothing game. Can we really count that? Galway, in the semi-final, they just kind of lost their heads a little bit. But like, they have the capabilities. I think Derry can challenge for an All-Ireland. I'd be much more confident if I was like, I think Derry have a bigger chance at winning an All-Ireland than Dublin do, in my opinion. And that's coming from a Dublin fan perspective. Like, I think Derry, they have men fit. You've Kieran McFell back. What a story it is for him, scoring the winning penalty. I'm sure it's been a very difficult last couple of months for him, and we'll see. Obviously, he's a sort of legal situation going on as well. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's a big moment for Derry, and as I said, a golden era. I think they need to, for it to be a golden era, I think they need to go on now and get to an All-Ireland final at least. I think that needs to be in the remit. Can they do that? Do they, can they get over the line in Croke Park against a Mayo, a Kerry, a Dublin? It'll be tough for them. Because obviously Croke Park's a much more open pitch. It's a little bit different. Obviously, I think Derry thrive off the atmosphere in Ulster grounds as well. But they have a chance, and they have, Conor Glass, Kieran McFell, Shane McGuigan, Doherty, these lads, like, great footballers, great players. Oh, McAvoy, a fullback. They have a lot of brilliant players, Derry, and I think, can they make that step up now and possibly, push for an All-Ireland? That's the big one. That's the one they want now. That is the one that it has to be, because they've won back-to-back Ulster titles in the most competitive province. The team, Tyrone won an Ulster title in 2021, went on to win the All-Ireland. Can Derry now push for it? It's interesting. But yeah, just running through the scores. I mean, Brendan Rodgers was fantastic, 1-2. What a start he had to the game. He obviously gets a goal. Hard to know who was man of the match, really. Like, obviously, Brendan Rodgers gets a black card towards the end of the game for that foul on Charlie O'Byrnes. Niall Toner, 2 points. Shane McGuigan was outstanding, scored some big points at big moments. Conor Glass obviously gets a big point towards the end of normal time. Garrett McKinless, Conor Doherty all on the score sheet as well. Lakeland Murray, who comes on. Derry only used, 3 substitutes there. I don't think their bench had as much an impact As Armagh's bench, I think Stephen Campbell changed the game for Armagh when he came on. I think Ross McQuillan was brilliant as well. I think Aidan Nugent had an impact. So yeah, very, very entertaining stuff. Keane says, up Derry, what a game. Yeah. Imagine as a manager, your first game is an Ulster final that goes to penalties and you win. Yeah, it's and I'm sure it's been a tough week for him as well, just to sort of, get the players ready and everything else. Conor Glass, what a pen. Never doubted him. Did Rory Gallagher resign? He stepped aside, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's a hard one to see what actually happens there, but you'd imagine he probably won't be on the sidelines for Derry until this whole situation gets sorted. Now, is he still there in the training pitch and in the background? I don't know, but yeah. Back-to-back Ulster champs are favourites for the All-Ireland. There we go. I think a team needs to be more dynamic to win an All-Ireland compared to the options Kerry, Galway and Dublin have and the various ways they can hurt you. It's hard to see Derry at that level. Yeah, like Derry, I think Dublin and Kerry have more ways to win games. They've better attackers, better players. They've experience of winning big games in Croke Park. Whereas Derry probably don't have that. And, I think a big turning point in this game as well, I think, was the bench. I think Armagh's bench had more of an impact to Derry's bench. And I think that is an issue for Derry. I don't know if they have enough players to change a game, but we'll see. Derry have had tougher matches compared to the All-Ireland contenders. And penalties is an unfair to win-lose a game, especially when there is silverware on the line, says Lily. I do agree. I think it is. I think it probably should have went to a replay or golden score, but it is what it is. These are, I suppose, this is the way the condensed calendar is, and unfortunately, that's just how it is. It's harsh on Derry. It's harsh on Armagh, but not harsh on Derry. It's harsh on the loser. But that's just how it is. And at the end of the day, Derry scored their penalties. Armagh didn't. And that's the difference. And if my own county Dublin lost an All-Ireland semi-final, or obviously All-Ireland finals, I think do go to a replay, but All-Ireland semi-final on penalties, oh yeah, I'd be absolutely gutted, and it would feel so devastating. Devastating to lose a final on or semi-final on penalties. But at the same time, you would look at it and think, that's unfortunately just how it is. Farney says just home from it live right next to the park. Yeah, I'd say it was some atmosphere. We're off to the Bogside. Enjoy. I don't know if that's a pub or something else, but yeah, enjoy. Yeah, I'll certainly be off somewhere myself after this as well. Make no question about that, because long stream. But there we go. But yeah, congratulations to Derry. For Armagh, not the end of the world. Obviously still go into the groups as round two. I think they're in there with Galway and Tyrone, Armagh, so it'll be difficult for them. But you would fancy them to get out of that group as maybe a third place team, possibly a second place team. But there you go. But yeah, huge result for Derry. Congratulations to them. As I said, back-to-back Ulster champions, first time since the 70s that they've done that. And there we go. Just looking at the groups actually on screen. Derry, Clare, Monaghan, Donegal. Like, you'd fancy Derry to win that probably. And for Armagh, it'll be tough, but like, they're in there with Galway and Tyrone, but they'll beat Westmeath. They'll beat Westmeath, so they'll be okay. They'll get out of that group maybe as a third place team, and they're actually playing Westmeath first, which is the perfect game just to build up confidence. But there we go. So yeah, we'll wrap this up here. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Man of the match is a difficult one. Like, you could give it to, I thought Stephen Campbell was brilliant. Brendan Rodgers had a very good game. Conor Glass was fairly decent, although like quiet at times, but still had a fairly good game towards the end. Yeah, we'll go with Brendan Rodgers. I mean, 1-2, he was absolutely terrific in the first half, in fairness. So there we go. So yeah, we'll wrap this up here. Cheers to anyone who tuned in, and we'll speak to you all soon.